Hi, Charles here from Engine Tech. I just wanted to take a brief moment to talk to y'all about our high performance camshafts that we have to offer, and maybe go over a little bit of the differences between a high performance camshaft and a stock camshaft. Start with a camshaft simply is what opens and closes your valves and at what time it opens and closes the intake and exhaust valve. There's different specs on a camshaft. You have your lift and your duration, and you also have the lobe separation. Now, to break that down, let's go a little bit into it. Lift is how far the valve is opened. Duration is the amount of time the valve is opened, how long it stays open from starting to open to closing. And the lobe separation is the difference between where the cam opens the intake valve and closes, and the exhaust valve starts to open and close to expel the gases. You get different characteristics by what the numbers say on that camshaft. So for instance, on a stock cam, you may only have about 0.400 inches of lift. So less than half an inch of lift. So the valve does not stay open as long as, because the duration is probably narrower as well. So on a high performance cam, the duration ends up being widened, so it stays open longer to allow fuel to come in more and air, as well as expel it out quicker. You know, you hear a lot of these high performance engines that have a rough idle. What that has to do with is the duration. The longer the duration, so the higher the number in duration, and the smaller lobe separation. So where you have valves that are, as one valve's closing, the other valve's already opening, which causes the engine to sort of be off idle, which gives it that performance note. There's several different stages offered in performance cams. Stage 1 is for a mildly modified or stock engine that allows you to, maybe you've upgraded your exhaust and you want to put a cam in there that's going to get the most out of the stock displacement of your motor. That's what a stage 1 would be. Now that we've gone over the base of a stage 1, let's look at a stage 2. A stage 2 cam is for a little more aggressiveness. You've done some more modifications, such as ported and polished your heads or put aftermarket heads, cylinder heads on the engine, put a stall converter in the transmission or gears in the transmission, full exhaust. That's where a stage 2 would come in. Stage 3 is for radical straight up racing on the drag strip or circle track, just depending on what kind of racing you're doing would depend on the type of profile they would be laid out for your camshaft. Alright, now that we've gone over camshafts as far as the different stages, let's look into the types of camshafts there are. There is a flat tappet camshaft, which is hydraulic, a hydraulic flat tappet camshaft. That's what you're going to see on your old school cars, small block Chevy 350s, the early stuff. And then you go on later, you can also have, they make a solid camshaft with a solid lifter, which is not hydraulic at all, which constantly requires adjustment of the valve train to keep it where it needs to be. That's more for a race application or heavy street application. Then you've got hydraulic roller, which is what you see on most applications nowadays on cars. Even the late model drivetrains all use a hydraulic roller on almost all motor vehicles, and unless it's an overhead cam. Then final one is a solid roller, and what that is, it takes the mechanical lifter and puts it on a roller base. That way, that's more for a full-out race application. Those are your 4 types of camshafts that are available. Our Dr. Bumpstick line is in the hydraulic roller version. We offer those both in retrofit and OE roller setups for the small block Chevy, big block Chevy, and the LS. And I just want to go over one last brief overview of what the different stages do for you. The different stages, so stage 1, it's getting the most out of your stock application with very minor modifications, if any. Stage 2, you're going to have to do some modifications to your motor, such as upgrade your intake, possibly upgrade your full exhaust, gears in the rear end, as well as maybe a stall converter, a small stall converter. Stage 3 is going to require a larger stall converter, full exhaust, upgraded heads. It's more or less for a full race application, whereas a Stage 2 would make a good street strip application on the drag strip on the weekends, but still a nice car to drive on the street, still streetable, whereas Stage 3 is more unstreetable. The higher you go up in the stage, one thing to remember is if you need a lot of vacuum on your motor, the higher you are on stages, the less vacuum it usually produces. So if you need vacuum for power brakes, you're best to stay into around a Stage 2. Other than that, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Bye.